Hi everyone, Kate with the Balanced Corporate Woman, and I wanted to jump in here and talk a little bit today about success without sacrifice. So thank you for all the members of our group who are showing up for this. If you're watching it in recording, welcome as well. Certainly feel free to jot your name down, put your name in the comments, share this video with someone who may need it. And let's really circulate the conversation. All right, so what we're talking about today is success without sacrifice. And apologies for me looking beyond the camera for a minute here. I was having some technical difficulties, so I want to look on my screen. Hi, Salima. Hi, Abby. And really share with you guys something that is, I don't know about you, but was certainly a huge issue for me in my own career, which is that success felt hard. Right? So we all learn to grow up, and it's like, what are our parents instilling us and our teachers? Like, work hard and you'll be a success. Love that, right? That's a big piece of our culture. The problem is that for some of us, because of our wiring, because of the fact that we are driven by wanting to have an impactful career, we really enjoy our work. We know that in our DNA is this desire to do something professionally that feels great. That message becomes a little too deeply embedded in our habits and in our thinking. And truth is, I have a client who's a CEO, a guy, and I sit with them and I'm a chief marketing officer, fractional chief marketing officer for them. And one of the things I kept seeing as I was working with this company is that they were always choosing a strategy that wasn't getting them quite where they needed to go. And I thought, well, this is really interesting. Hey, Jennifer. And I sat down with them once with the C-suite guys, and I said, okay, what's going on here? And I actually gave, and I've done this with several clients, where I actually gave them a bag of bricks, of rocks. And I said, I want you guys to take this bag of rocks and I want you to drag it across the floor. And they're big strapping guys, and they're all strong, and they just dragged it across the floor. I'm like, great. Now I want you to do it, but you can't use your hands. You got to kick this bag of rocks across the floor. And they were like, Kate, this is hard. And I'm like, right. This is what you're doing in your company. Everything is hard. But this is what we do, guys. We have this deeply ingrained belief that if we're not working hard, we are not creating value. Does that make sense? Can everyone hear me, by the way? Because I don't know if I have the volume up all the way. I'm afraid to touch any of my electronics at this point. Okay, give me a hands up if we've got volume. So thank you. So basically what is happening is that we have this deep-seated belief that work has to be hard, that success has to be hard, otherwise we don't deserve it. And this is deep in our psychology. It is not that you don't want to be working consistently. It's not that we don't want to strive. And it's not that sometimes work does need to be something that is challenging, right? It's not about not having a challenge. It's not about wanting easy or sitting around on the sofa eating bonbons. But success does not have to be hard. We make it that way when you are wired like a high achiever, because that's where you have learned to create value for yourself. That's where you've been told you're the most valuable. For example, in your childhood, maybe your parents got all excited when you worked really hard. Oh, you stayed up all night on studying for that exam, and look at the good grade you got. See what happens when you work hard. And so what happens slowly over time is we get this deep-seated belief that unless we're working like that, we don't deserve it. Okay? That belief in hard work serves you, gets you all through college, gets you through all the late nights, right? Lots of M&Ms and Diet Cokes. You get through your exams, you pull the all-nighters. And we establish this behavior early on where we're working hard, and all of a sudden we get promoted or we get a great job, or, and what we don't realize is it's not really about working hard. It's actually working past fear that actually got you there. But the working hard part is what felt good. So you get your first job, you work hard, you get promoted, and all of a sudden, before you know it, like a lot of our clients, they'll say, Kate, I never really asked to be promoted. I just kept getting promoted. It just happened. And that was certainly my case as well, because when you're a hard worker, and you're always performing at this level, and you're pushing yourself, what's going to happen, right? The people on my team, I want people on my team who are performing. So if you're a top performer, regardless of how you're getting it done, you're going to get promoted. But what happens over time is what? We get to a point, and now all of a sudden success doesn't seem so much fun, right? Because now you've been doing it 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, working hard, doing what everybody says you need to be doing. And now you're just exhausted, right? That's what happens next. So we can't continue to work hard, but you can't stop working hard if upstairs your belief is the only way to create value is to work hard. It's not worth it unless we work hard. Okay. And this is deeply ingrained in our culture, guys. This was given to you. You didn't make this up yourself, but now that you know about it, you really need to rewire this inside yourself. You got to up-level your mental game. Because here's the thing, as you move up in your career, whatever level you're at, especially as you start managing, driving, leading teams, if you're headed to the executive level, it ain't going to get any easier, right? The challenges are less defined. The solutions are less defined. You're working in a world of gray. There's a lot more stress. There's a lot more at stake. There's a greater responsibility. And so if you believe you have to work hard in order to have your place at the table, if you believe you have to work hard or you don't deserve success, if that is embedded down inside, well, guess what? It's going to be hard. And then, of course, what happens? We sacrifice our health. We sacrifice our loved ones. We sacrifice the richness of life that says, I could be a multidimensional woman who, yes, has a pretty audacious career, but I also go home and paint at night or read these fantastic novels or have these really rich relationships with people in my community that fascinate me. That's a well-lived life, right? It's that we're all craving and striving for. But as soon as I get my job, as soon as I get the next promotion, as soon as I have a certain amount of whatever it is, money, success, security, And you never have that stuff, right? There's just the next level. But if it has to be hard, and then what happens is, and this used to happen to me because I sort of grew up in a world where, you got to make your bed and then you can go out and play. You got to eat your vegetables before you have dessert. There was always this reward system that I grew up in. And so when you're wired believing that success has to be hard and that you don't deserve the good life unless it's been hard, because you have this permission-based attitude, this mental place where you live, which is not objective, it's not the way it really is, it's just your belief, then you can't ever rest and enjoy it until you hit a wall, right? Like a lot of the women we work with, they'll say like, oh my God, Kate, I work, and then I get so exhausted, I finally will stop and like take a weekend off. Because you feel like you have permission, like like your body is just shutting down. And so that permission based, like unless I have permission, I haven't earned it, then I can't give myself the permission to relax. Instead of saying, hey, you know what, if I keep myself in a really high level of well-being, if I keep myself rested, if I make sure that I'm well-rounded and I am actually weaving into my day and my week things that help me feel great and are part of what makes me the woman I am, if you're not doing that, then all you're going to do is crash and burn. And it's going to happen in one way or the other. Either it's going to crash and burn in your health. We see that a lot. Your health is going to suffer. You're going to be overweight. You're going to start having health issues. By the time you get to retirement, you're frail and in visiting the doctor often. We see it happen obviously in relationships. Either you struggle to have a relationship or the relationship you have is weak and uncomfortable. There's a lot of fighting, bickering, or just resentment. Or it happens in just lack of fulfillment, going through life just feeling like it's gray. It's like, great, keep working hard. One of these days I'm going to get to that place of happiness, right? And you never get there. And that's heartbreaking, right? And this is why we see so many women, we're working to strategically, hopefully, to get to the leadership, right? Like this should be our era. Women should be in the leadership positions, but we're not seeing enough elevate to leadership and own it. Because it's hard. Everyone's making it hard and women feel guilt. I'm missing out on my marriage. I'm going to implode my relationships. I'm never going to see my children. I'm 20 pounds overweight. And if you'll notice, not all guys, but a lot of the guys don't make it as hard. They just go to work, come home. There you go. I mean, even in the executive ranks, like guys who are working 70 hours a week as an executive, they go to work, do what they need to do. They do whatever they need to do, come home, spend time with their family, go back to work a little bit, read through some reports or whatever they need to do to prepare for the next day. Boom, done, right? Easy. Do y'all see that? If anyone has ever seen that with your male counterpart, maybe it's your spouse, maybe it's a brother, someone else. I know my husband's always that way. He just went to work, kicked ass, comes home. No big deal. Sometimes he works late, sometimes he doesn't, sometimes he travels, sometimes it was just never like this big issue for him. For me, it was just hard. And I almost took pride in wearing this badge of honor that it was hard. It was hard. It was hard. So what happens is we get to a point where we burn out, and that's why we're dreaming of, oh, God, I hope that airplane just cancels the flight because it'll give you permission to rest. I remember one time I was so happy where I was ill. I was like, oh, I have pneumonia. Thank God. because I felt like I had an excuse to rest. This is horrible, right? Like when you are praying that you have pneumonia so you can actually go home and feel like you don't have to respond to email on the phone, that's probably not a high quality of life, right? Okay, so what you have to do is you have to rewire what's going on upstairs. You got to live someplace differently mentally and emotionally, because as long as you're having an emotional trigger that says, ooh, it better be hard or it's not valuable, you better be in the fray, you better be at every meeting, you better be the one showing up for, you can never rescope your work, you cannot influence your environment, you cannot create well-being for yourself, your team, and even your leadership. You are stuck, absolutely stuck. And this is why we see women either push forward and live a life of regret, or we see them step back and then give up everything that they really could have done that would have been amazing in their career, as well as had a really high quality personal life. So before I jump off, and I apologize, I do have to make this a shorter call, I wanted to read a couple things. We do this cool thing in our client group where we say, hey, let's share some celebrations or share some progress. And we did this, I'm trying to find it now, this progress challenge. It was so cool to see what some of our, upper brass clients even were accomplishing, where they came into our program and said, Kate, like I've got 40 hours of meetings a week, let alone airline travel, and other things on my plate. There's no way I can rescope this. Like, you have no idea, like the lack of resources, my company's going through transition. Like, we have so many excuses, guys, that we come up with and why it has to be hard and why there's no other options for us. And every single time, I promise you, we bust through those myths. We shake up how a woman is feeling and thinking about her career, and we stop making it hard, and it becomes delightful. So we had one client, I was trying to find, I don't know if I can find the post right now, but she was like, another weekend I didn't work. I'm getting good at it. It's still tempting, but you know what? It'll all be there Monday morning. This weekend, my husband and I went out for pizza with some friends. We took a day trip outside of their hometown, and they had a great Sunday breakfast and went hiking most of the afternoon. Now, this was an executive who was never home on the weekend. How cool is that? Another was recognizing, here's another one that says, wow, I recognize that if I take a break and I do something for me and I'm not so critical of the fact that I'm doing that I actually show up at work stronger, more focused, and able to perform at higher levels, but I'm also getting my needs met at home. Amazing. Like, and then we've just got story after story. I want to read, and there's another one. Wow, rest is so powerful. I'm struggling because one of my business partners sees rest as a weakness, but she's learning how to navigate that, because just because someone else sees it as a weakness, that doesn't mean it has to, that they get to own that feeling, not you, right? It does not have to impact you, your brand, or how others see you. So this is what's so cool, is when you start shifting your beliefs and you realize that success doesn't have to be hard. It can be fascinating, it can be fun, it can be engaging. Yeah, we're going to roll up our sleeves sometimes, and we're going to work late or pull, a weekend in here and there, but it doesn't have to be a slog. When you can release that from your brain and the emotional need to hold on to it, it is absolute beautiful freedom. So I need to jump off, but I wanted to thank you all for showing up for this broadcast. And leave some comments, get some conversation going, share this with another woman, tag her in the comments, and so someone else can see this as well. And if you are a high achieving woman, if you are a woman who is sacrificing quality of life, your career is now forcing you to trade off the goodness of your life, and it's starting to take a toll on your family, on your health, and on you. Please book a call with us. Let's talk about what's possible. Let's talk about what's going on. Let's look at some root issues. If what we do can help you, we will tell you. If not, we're going to refer you out to someone else or get you some other resources. All right. So we'll put the link below to book a call. Again, we've got we've also got some training that in the form of a webinar that you can watch to get an idea of what we do. So invite you all to that, and look forward to seeing you again next time. Bye.